How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jeff Benjamin. In this video, we take a look at over 50 different iPadOS 13 changes and features. Thanks for watching, and be sure to thumbs up and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Special thanks to Zugu Case, makers of Amazon's highest rated iPad case, for sponsoring 9to5Mac on YouTube. The new Muse case for iPad mini features an ultra secure and adjustable stand with 7 different viewing angles. It also features a robust bumper and industry-leading drop protection design. And of course, the case gives you access to all the ports, cameras, and buttons on your iPad mini. The Muse features built-in sleep-wake functionality, and along with that awesome adjustable stand, there's a built-in Apple Pencil pocket for your convenience. The Muse is available in black, blue, purple, and red colors. Click the link in the description to get your Zugu Muse case today. One of the first big differences that you'll notice about iOS 13 is the home screen app icon layout. There's now a 5x6 app icon layout for a total of 30 app icons on the home screen. That's 10 more app icons on the home screen when compared to iOS 12. When you combine those 30 app icons with the 18 available in the dock, and that 18 includes not only the dock icons but also the recent icons, that's a total of 48 different apps. When you swipe right on the first page of the home screen, you'll notice a new Today view that's been redesigned for iOS 13, and the Today view contains all of your widgets that you configure within that view. Now what's cool is that all the app icons remain on the screen. They just compress to be able to fit in the Today view. Now if you go in the Today view settings by scrolling down and tapping the edit button, you'll find a new option to always show the Today view right there on the home screen while in landscape mode. So all we need to do is enable it like this and then tap done. So there you go, that Today view is always going to display on that first home screen page, no swiping required. But it doesn't stop there. You'll notice pinned favorites that allow you to pin up to 2 widgets at a time right there at the top of the Today view. So I'm going to choose batteries and I'm going to choose the music widget. Alright, so now we just need to tap the done button in the upper right hand corner to go back to the home screen and swipe all the way up. And then swipe again, and that will show just the 2 pinned Today view items right there. So that cuts down on the clutter from other items filling up the Today view. Of course, you can still reveal those items, just swipe like that to reveal all the hidden items, and when you want to hide them again, just swipe down. And here's a tip, you can have even more app icons on the screen along with the 48 that are already displayed by using Siri suggestions. So that's even more potential app icons that you have on the home screen. Now let's talk multitasking. In my opinion, the most exciting thing about iPadOS 13. Now you can invoke slide over from either side of the screen. In iOS 12, you can only open a slide over app on the right side of the display, although you could later move it over to the left if you wanted to. Now this is extremely cool. You can have multiple apps in slide over. So you notice here, I opened up the Files app, placing it on top of the Safari app. And now I'm going to place the Reminders app on top of the Files app. I'm gonna do another here. Let's grab Tweetbot and just drag that on top of the Reminders app. And let's grab another, we'll grab Reader and drag that on top as well. That's multiple apps in slide over. Now you can also move slide over apps, of course. But what's really cool is that you're able to move the whole stack based on when you place a new slide over app. So if I place it on the right side, all the apps move over to the right side and vice versa. Now, of course, you can swipe between full screen apps, but in iPadOS 13, you can swipe between slide over apps like this by just swiping on the home indicator like that. That's really cool. There's an app switcher for full screen apps, but in iPadOS 13, there is now a slide over switcher. Just swipe up on the home indicator to invoke the slide over switcher to view all of your slide over apps like that. You can easily switch between them simply by tapping on the app you wish to switch to. So instead of just swiping through each app, now you can go directly to the app you want to go to in slide over. You can close slide over apps simply by swiping up on the app while the slide over switcher is open, just like this. You can move a slide over app to full screen view or split view simply by dragging on the handle at the top, moving it to the top of the screen or to the left or right side of the screen. So if you move it to the top of the screen, it opens in full screen view, and it'll open in split view on the left or right side of the screen. Now here's one of the biggest advances in iPadOS 13, the ability to open up multiple windows from the same app. Now this isn't exactly new, we could do this with Safari in iOS 12. However, this functionality has been greatly expanded in iPadOS 13, so now you can do so in other apps like the Notes app. I can have two notes side by side, as you can see right here, but it doesn't stop with the Notes app. Of course, you'll be able to do this with third-party apps, but let's talk about some of the first-party apps. Here is Reminders. So I can drag a list to the side like this and invoke split view for two Reminders app windows. But the enhancements don't stop there. You can mix and match apps in multiple spaces. So here you can see I have 3 Safari tabs, and I'm going to mix and match those tabs with other apps. So let's open up Music, pair that with the Safari tab in split view. So that's 1 Safari tab. We still have 2 remaining, so let's grab this one, swipe up. Let's do Reminders. Let's go ahead and do that and drag that to the side. So I have Reminders in Safari paired. I still have 1 tab remaining. There's my Music app and Safari app. So let's go ahead and drag the Files app here. How about that? So that's 3 different Safari windows paired with 3 different apps. And an updated app switcher shows all spaces, and it also shows individual window names. And this is handy for apps that have multiple windows open, like here with Safari. Another new feature in iPadOS 13 is App Expose. Now, of course, you could open the app switcher like that and view your open apps, but App Expose allows you to open up all the windows associated with a single app. So just long press the app and tap Show All Windows to open up App Expose for that individual app. So in this case, the Reminders app. We're going to do the same thing with the Safari app here. You can see all the open windows across multiple spaces, just like that. But one of the things that makes App Expose powerful is what's in the upper right hand corner. That little plus button allows you to open up a single window of the application. So in this case, I opened up a single Safari view that's a standalone window. So now when I open up App Expose, I'm going to see that standalone window along with all of my other instances of Safari. So show all windows, there we go. There's that window we just opened. And of course, this isn't just limited to Safari. You can do so with Notes app, Reminders, etc. And you're going to be able to do so with third-party apps as well. So there's Notes. Let's do the same with the Calendar app. There's just a single window for Calendar, share it with the Notes app, and full circle back to Safari. Now, if you open up a split view or slide over instance of an app that already has other open windows, you're going to be able to open those windows right within that new instance. So here in this split view instance, I can access all the other windows that are open in Safari or open a new window by tapping the plus in the upper right-hand corner. So that adds a lot of flexibility to the multitasking experience. Now notice here I have a split view with Safari and the Music app, and the Safari tab is dronedj.com. Now watch what happens when I open up a new split view instance. I'm going to get the opportunity to adopt that Drone DJ tab, pulling it away from the Music app split view pair. So now I'm going to reopen App Expose for Safari, and you're going to notice that the Music app is no longer paired with the Safari window because I pulled it away during that last split view instance. So you can really see how incredibly flexible multitasking is here on iPadOS 13. And of course, this works with many of the stock iPadOS applications like the Notes app, and it will work with third-party apps in the future as well. What do you guys think about all this? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now in iPadOS 13, you can also drag to create windows. So we can drag an email address, for instance, and create a new Mail app window. And you can drag a URL and create a new Safari app window. Really cool. And you can do something similar with notifications. So if you receive a notification for the Mail app, you simply drag that notification, create a new split view instance, and there we go. It's kind of buggy right now, but you get the idea. In iPadOS 13, there's reduced latency with the Apple Pencil as low as 9 milliseconds thanks to advanced prediction algorithms. So in other words, using the Apple Pencil, whether it's for drawing or for annotation, is just going to feel all that more natural in iPadOS 13. And you'll find a new redesigned tool palette with less flat textures, the return of skeuomorphism, Not fully, but it's definitely more skeuomorphic than the flat textures that we see in iOS 12. But it's not all based on looks. There's actually some new tools here as well. So the eraser tool, previously it erased the entire stroke, but now you have the option, if you tap it, to switch to a pixel eraser that allows you to erase pixel by pixel. So instead of having to delete an entire stroke, you can go in and be much more precise and just delete exactly what you want to delete. It's a welcome new addition for sure. And inside the tool palette, you'll also find a ruler for creating straight lines. You can twist it around like that to various degrees. Now we can draw our straight lines. And I don't know, something really satisfying about drawing these lines so precisely. So let's do one more. There we go. Alright, so there's also an updated color palette button. It's a very subtle change. In iOS 12, I think there was like 12 colors in the actual button for the color palette, and now you can see there's a lot more colors there. Another very subtle change is that the opacity size on each tool is now listed horizontally instead of vertically like it was listed in iOS 12. So when you change the opacity value, you can see the numerical representation on each individual tool is now listed horizontally. And you'll also notice that the undo and redo buttons are now a part of the actual markup toolset itself. Previously, it was sort of on its own in a corner somewhere. And now you can swipe the markup tools to the corner to minimize. So watch this, just swipe over to the corner and it minimizes. Swipe over to the opposite corner, minimizes, swipe back over, swipe in the middle, it opens up. Now you can also swipe to the upper left and upper right corners as well, just like that. Pretty handy. And you can also swipe the tools to the sides to dock them there. So on the left side, I can do so. On the top, on the right side, and of course, back to the bottom. Also, I've been thinking about selling my artwork. What do you guys think? Should I start selling my masterpieces or what? Let me know. Now, here's another little tip. If the tool set gets in your way while drawing, of course you can drag it over to the corner to get it out of the way, but wouldn't it be nice if you could auto minimize? Yes, just tap the ellipsis, enable auto minimize. I'm going to open this back up, choose a new tool, and watch what happens when I start drawing. It auto minimizes, just like that. Now in the screenshot interface, you'll notice that the 5 default palette colors, black, blue, green, yellow, and red are there. There's no white though, unless you tap the full color palette. But in iOS 12, there was a white option as well by default. And there is what appears to be an opacity slider in the upper right-hand corner of the screenshot interface for iPadOS 13. And this could make it easier to mark up your images and really kind of focus in on specific parts of the image without it being overly distracting by various other things going on within the screenshot. In other words, it makes your notes more readable. And when you take multiple screenshots, you'll notice that each screenshot is displayed sequentially right there within the screenshot interface. And in iPadOS 13, you'll notice a new delete button for easily deleting those extra screenshots. So just tap delete, 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 delete. Another new feature is the ability to take a screenshot with the Apple Pencil by dragging up from the corner like this. So you can drag up from the bottom left or bottom right hand corners to take that screenshot. So I did it on the left, here it is on the right. And I already kind of showed you this in our last iOS 13 200 feature overview, but I thought it was worth mentioning here with the iPad given its size. So you can take full page screenshots here within iPadOS 13, and of course you can go in and crop those full page screenshots. The crop functionality is a little bit buggy here on iPadOS 13, but bugs are to be expected with such an early beta release. Another helpful feature of iPadOS 13 is the ability to snap to borders when cropping screenshots. So let me show you what I mean here. I'm gonna pull this over right against this border. Notice it just snaps right on that border, just like that. Perfect. Now in iOS 12, you used to have an undo all option when long pressing on the undo button in screenshot markup mode. But in iPadOS 13, that option isn't there. Now this is possibly my favorite new iPadOS 13 feature. I know it's going to be silly to a lot of folks, but If you've ever tried to type on an iPad, the new floating keyboard in iPadOS 13 is amazing. This allows you to basically get like an iPhone-sized keyboard so that you can type with one hand comfortably. This makes typing so much easier on the large screen iPad, especially the 12.9-inch model, and then you can just easily redock just by dragging it down to the bottom like that. In iPadOS 13, you can finally invoke quick action shortcuts from the home screen simply by long pressing on an eligible app icon. And you can also peek behind links just by long pressing as well. It's like a poor man's 3D touch. Now, I talked about this in our iOS 13 video, but I wanted to reiterate it here on the iPadOS 13 video because obviously the iPad screen is very ideal for gaming because it's so large, right? In iPadOS 13, you can pair PlayStation 4 controllers and Xbox One S Bluetooth controllers and control any game with MFI support built in, just like this one right here, Riptide Renegade. And speaking of external peripherals, you can also connect a mouse via accessibility settings using Bluetooth. So let me show you how to do that right here. So open settings and go to accessibility and then go to touch and then go to assistive touch and then enable assistive touch and then tap where it says pointing devices and then you see Bluetooth devices and there's where you can pair your Bluetooth mouse. So I'm going to do so with my Logitech MX Master 2S mouse with customizable buttons. What's cool is that you can actually go in here once you pair and customize those buttons to do a whole variety of things within iOS, including executing shortcuts that you make within the Shortcuts app. It's crazy. So let's go ahead and configure. I'll just click MX Master 2S and then customize additional buttons. And then just press the button I want to customize. It adds another. And then I can choose from this list. Very long list, but I'm just going to choose to customize it with a screenshot command. So whenever I press that fourth button, it takes a screenshot. Just like this. Really cool. But I also want to point out that using a mouse is just very nice in iPadOS 13. It's surprisingly precise. So the Files app got a pretty big upgrade within iPadOS 13. One of the cool things is that whenever you save to the Files app now, you can actually create a new folder directly from the Save dialog that opens up from the share sheet. So I just tap the New Folder button, type my folder name. So Work of Art. I'm telling you, I'm trying to sell these things, guys. All right, and then just tap Save. All right, so now in that Work of Art folder, thumbs up for how I say folder. I know it's hilarious. You can see what I saved. Excellent. And in the new Files app, you'll find a new kind sort option. So along with name, date, size, and tags, you find kind, just tap it, and you can sort by the type or kind of file. There's also a new column view in iPadOS 13. If you tap the column view button, this allows you to browse files and nested folders with a high resolution preview. And that's just the start. Column view also gives you access to rich metadata right there on the fly. And it also allows you to execute quick actions via the little quick action bar right here. Very similar to what we saw in macOS Mojave last year. So I can quickly go in and mark up an image, or I can quickly rotate an image just by tapping the rotate button. And you also have the ability to create a PDF from one tap. The new Files app also allows you to filter your searches. So you can search by recent files, you can search in iCloud Drive, or you can search in the current folder. And as you would expect, there are plenty of new keyboard shortcuts found in the Files app. So you'll find shortcuts that allow you to browse directly to certain folders, as you can see here, desktop documents. You can even connect directly to a server, which is new in iPadOS 13. And there's also new sort by keyboard shortcut options. And there's also external drive support in iPadOS 13. That means you can connect a drive like this, the Samsung T5, directly via a USB Type-C cable to the iPad Pro, and you have access to that entire drive like that. So I tapped on the drive here. Here's some files that I already have loaded. These are ProRes videos, so they're not going to play back natively here. But as you can see, I can easily drag and drop files directly to the external drive location. So that's what I'm doing right now. Go there, and then there's my files. I can tap on those, and I can open and play back. Just like that. One of the biggest improvements in iPadOS 13 is desktop class browsing within Safari. So not only does Safari identify itself as a Mac, but Apple has given it a lot of TLC, really sweated the details to make it perform much more like a desktop browser. So that means you're finally going to be able to use certain websites like Squarespace, for instance, just like you would be able to do on a desktop, and Google Docs. Yeah, as you can see right here, you can finally use the web version of Google Docs on your iPad. And there's no surprise here, there are also lots of new keyboard shortcuts for Safari. We're just going to talk about a couple of them here. You can now combine keyboard shortcuts with taps on the screen. So for instance, if I hold Option and tap, I can download a link. Or if I hold Shift and tap, I can save a link to my reading list. So I'm going to hold Option here and I'm going to tap this link. And notice it goes straight to downloads. And remember, if you want to learn all about downloads, make sure you watch our iOS 13 overview where I cover 200 plus features. So now I'm going to use the Shift Tap shortcut to save a link to reading list, just like that. Now when you put Safari in a split view in iOS 12, it would omit much of the toolbar, but here in iPadOS 13, you can see the full toolbar for both windows. Now in our previous iOS 13 feature overview, I went very in-depth on the new Photos app, especially the editing features. And I just wanted to briefly talk about it here because obviously editing photos on the iPad is an even better experience than it is on the smaller screen iPhone. Now a lot of the other iOS 13 and iPadOS 13 features are getting a lot of the attention, and rightfully so, but the Photos app, and especially the editing section of the Photos app, is amazing. Being able to turn effects on or off easily, adjust their intensity, being able to go in and edit your videos non-destructively, much in the very same way that you can edit photos, being able to make all these changes to a video using filters and adjusting the intensity of filters and using all the crop tools and the trimming tools and flip tools and the aspect ratio tools, doing all that non-destructively to a video within the native Photos app on iPadOS. You're not using a third-party app. This is the native editor. It's just sort of mind-blowing, to be honest. I think this is definitely the sleeper hit in iPadOS 13. Okay, so the Reminders app got a completely redesigned interface. You get these new smart filters, so you can filter by today, by schedule, by all, by flagged right here at the top. And then of course you have several new keyboard shortcuts in iPadOS 13 for the Reminders app to go directly to the aforementioned smart lists. And the Mail app gets an upgrade, especially when it comes to multitasking. Now you can take your new message, slide it over, and put it in split view. So you can be writing a message on one side, reading a full email on the other side, or browsing your inbox, whatever the case may be. And like with the other stock applications, there are additional keyboard shortcuts found for the Mail app in iPadOS 13. Now, I'm not going to talk in depth about this, but I just wanted to briefly touch on Sidecar, which is a new feature in macOS 10.15 Catalina. Sidecar allows you to use your iPad as an external display. So all I have to do is go into the settings, select my iPad, and there we go. Now it's an external display and I have it connected via a single USB Type-C cable. Now there will also be wireless connectivity as well, and you can either mirror your display or you can extend your display however you want to set it up. But it goes beyond that. You can actually use your iPad on your Mac as an input tool with the Apple Pencil. We're going to talk about all that in our macOS Catalina overview, so if you're looking forward to that, please let me know down below in the comments. But this is a remarkably powerful feature. As you can see, you can actually use your iPad as an external display, and it works really, really well from my experience. So ladies and gentlemen, that has been a hands-on look at over 50 different iPadOS 13 changes and features. Please share your thoughts down below in the comment section. Leave me a thumbs up if you appreciated this video, and subscribe for more videos like this. We'd like to thank our sponsor Zugu Case again for sponsoring 9to5Mac on YouTube. Don't forget to check the description below for your link to the Zugu Muse case for the iPad mini. It features 7 adjustable angles, a durable tear-resistant exterior, along with a magnetic cover and flap, a robust bumper, and 1-year warranty. Again, special thanks to Zugu Case for sponsoring 9to5Mac on YouTube.